warm colour wheel in acrylic paints. I have read my assignment brief, I have the handout to fill in, I have the paints, brushes, 2 water jars and a palette. I have the primary colours ready to go. The colour wheel is the first part of the colour theory brief. We are going to complete part 1. You are being asked to complete a colour wheel in acrylic paints. In art we have 3 primary colours, red, yellow and blue. These cannot be created by mixing. So now I'm going to complete this colour wheel. I will use cadmium yellow deep. I will use process magenta. And I will use ultramarine blue. These will give me a warm colour wheel. I always use 2 water jars, one to wash the brush with and the other to use to actually dilute the paint to make it easier to spread and apply. This then will avoid the colour that I am painting from becoming tainted and dirty. You will also notice that I am using short-handled brushes. This is easier at a table, and I save the long-handled brushes then for working at an easel where you need to step back away from the easel. The square tip brush can be very useful for this exercise as it is easy then to obtain straight edges. You can use the brush on its side to get right into the corners also. The round tip brush will also do the same. The smaller brush is easier to get into the corners than the larger brush then to fill in the main body of the grid. As a palette I am just using a white plastic plate which I can wash and reuse. I don't like using the well palettes as I prefer a larger area to mix within. The paint contains a certain amount of plastic, so it is necessary to wet your brush and to really mix up the paint before you use it. Some colours are extremely gloopy and will need a good bit of water to render them usable. Now we are going to load the brush. We do this by twisting the brush in the paint, twisting the brush into a nice point. Now we are going to look at the technique of flat painting. Once your brush is loaded, place the tip on the page and then drag so that the hair splay out. This helps to avoid visible brush strokes and to give you a really neat edge. The technique is known as flat painting. For the yellow, I have started using a round brush. So now I am switching to the smaller brush to be able to work into the edges. Again, you must load the brush, place down the point and then drag to achieve that straight edge. Once you have finished painting the inner triangle, it is then time to apply the paint to the outer wheel. Now it is time to use the process magenta. This time I'm going to try the square brush. Dip the brush into the water and then mix the paint till it's a nice consistency to use. Again, load the brush, place down the tip and then drag to achieve the flat painting technique. Complete the inner triangle and then the square on the outer wheel. Now it is time to do the same for the ultramarine blue. Paint the inner triangle and the corresponding square on the outer wheel. Now we have the primary colours completed on our colour wheel. Next we will mix the secondary colours. I will mix the process magenta and the cadmium yellow deep to achieve an orange. First wet the brush, then work out the yellow. Stretch it across the palette to make it easier to use. Add at first just 1 or 2 dabs of the process magenta so that you can control the change in the tone. On the palette I am exploring lighter and darker shades of the orange to try and find medium. It is the medium that I will place in the triangle above the yellow and the red triangle in the middle of the colour wheel. I always end up twisting the page around so that there's a better angle for me to be able to paint into the grid. When we have the medium orange completed, we now have to combine the primary yellow with the secondary orange to create a yellowy orange, a light orange, which we will then place into the wheel. When this is completed, we will then mix the secondary orange with the primary red, to create a reddy orange and to place that then down onto the wheel. Try to have even jumps between the colours. These colours that are next to each other on the colour wheel are known as harmonious. They work well together. These yellows and reds mixed together are also warm colours. Quick recap. I mixed the primary colour yellow and red, the cadmium yellow deep with the processed magenta, to achieve secondary colour orange. I went for a medium orange, which I then placed into the outer wheel. I mixed it again with the cadmium yellow to achieve a light yellowy orange. I then mixed the secondary orange with the processed magenta to achieve a reddy orange. Next I am going to mix the cadmium yellow with the ultramarine blue to achieve a green, a medium green, which I will place in the triangle and again to the outer wheel. Now I mix the medium green with the cadmium yellow. This is mixing the secondary green with the primary yellow to achieve a light yellowy green, which I then will place onto the colour wheel. Next, mix the medium green with the blue to achieve a dark bluey green. So I have mixed the secondary green with the primary blue to achieve the bluey green. Now for the final section of the colour wheel, I'm going to mix the ultramarine blue and the processed magenta to achieve a purple, which I will then place onto the colour wheel. Again, try and mix a medium purple. I always explore mixing the colours on the palette first before I place them onto the paper to make sure I am happy with the range of tones that I achieve. So again, place the medium purple onto the colour wheel, the inner triangle, and then on the outer wheel. So once again, we have mixed two primary colours to achieve a secondary colour. We have mixed ultramarine blue, processed magenta to achieve purple, which is the secondary colour. So our secondary colours are the green, purple and orange. Now it is time to mix the purple with the processed magenta. So we are mixing the secondary with the primary to achieve a reddy purple. And finally, mix the secondary purple with the primary blue to achieve the bluey purple. And here we now have our colour wheel. So this is our colour wheel. We have mixed our yellow and our red, placed them in the inner triangles and then onto the outer wheel. Then when we mixed the yellow and the red together, we created orange and we placed it to the outer wheel. We mixed the yellow and the blue for green, placed it to the outer wheel. We mixed the blue and the red to create purple and we put it to the outer wheel. These three colours are known as our primary colours. The yellow, the red and the blue are primary colours. So we have mixed the primary colours. At this stage we know the primary colours are yellow, red and blue. When mixed, they produce the secondary colours, orange, purple and green. When we mixed the primaries and the secondaries together, we achieved tertiaries. Our tertiaries are the yellowy orange, the reddy orange, the yellowy green, the bluey green, the reddy purple and the bluey purple. So this is our colour wheel showing primaries, secondaries and tertiary colours. Our colour wheel also shows colour complementaries, colour opposites. The opposite of yellow is purple, the opposite of red is green and the opposite of blue is orange.